Oh, hello. Hold on. Okay, everything should be good. Hello.
Hi,
Ha-
everybody.
Hello. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the
I don't
Project
know why
Stamina.
I'm I don't know why I'm waiting for somebody to tell me how it's going.
Hello?
You're all in chat.
Why aren't
Hi,
they
chat.
answering? What's happening? Welcome to the Keera redesign stream from Project Stamina. I'm sorry you couldn't hear the timer music. It was very, very cool. I'll figure that out next time. Here are your hosts, Falco Punch and Mr. Fancy Pants.
It's me. Okay, we gotta start this. This is too weird.
I kind of like that voice.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi,
Oh man.
everybody.
Hey, everyone in chat. Thank you all so much for coming. It has been a while since we've done one of these, and we're so happy to be doing it here again.
Yeah, seriously, it's been a long time to the point where I have massive anxiety before streams, just because it's been that long.
Shh, don't tell them that. They
I'm
don't know.
sorry. I mean, I'm always confident. Okay, I'm adjusting Fancy's level. If you guys let me know how it goes, I'm hopefully it's getting a little bit better. Relatable. Okay.
All right. How do I sound now? I guess you can't check my volume if I'm not talking.
Yeah, how's that going? How's that, everybody?
Cool. We looking good?
Loud now? Now it's now it's too loud?
Okay,
I blame you guys.
I'm done.
Okay. How about now? It's always kind of a gamble with this stuff. You don't do it often enough. But do you guys oh, hold on. Oh, wait a second. I know there's a big problem here, you guys. I don't have the alert box going right now. Hold on. Here we go. Give me a second. All right.
So,
Follow away.
uh, I guess while we're adjusting the levels, I will just intro the stream. We are debuting the redesign that we've been working on for Keera. As you know, Keera is our shooter, our like first shooter character. She's a tiny little fox cat rat beast, and
Good way to
uh,
describe her.
yeah, yeah, and we had so much fun designing Keera the first time that we just decided we would do it again. Is not the actual answer, but it was a real blast all throughout the process, and then the redesign process was maybe even more fun. So, oh hey, I think I've got some sort of overlay on my camera.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yep.
Oh yeah, a little bit overlay.
Um,
Hopefully it's correct.
no, I mean, there's like a funky box, like Discord maybe. Oh well, we're gonna take our faces off of the screen pretty soon,
Oh,
and
I know what that is. Sorry, that's because I was adjusting his level.
oh good.
I'm
Well, now I sound
professional.
better. You know, you're worth every penny we pay
Oh, it all makes sense now.
you. So for people who aren't super familiar with us, here's like a super quick overview. We are a bunch of diehard fans of Gigantic that when the game shut down, we decided we couldn't stand for that, and so we set out to make a new game. Pulling most of the same mechanics, brushing up a few things here and there where we think Gigantic still had some room to improve. And we've been working all as volunteers, hence the how much we pay you joke, to make a new game that is very resilient against shutdown because it's ours. And if we're already not making any money, then it can't possibly lose us anything. And yeah, that's us. Like we work real hard. We love this. We do it for free, and we're so happy that all of you are excited and are here to like support and check this out. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great that you're here.
yeah, thanks for coming by, guys. Honestly, like, this, our entire character pipeline can be really, really well seen with just Keera. So I guess we should just get right into it here, right? All right. I will direct you to the amazing thing on this next screen. Whoop! Scene transition!
Nice.
All right, here we go, guys. So, we're going to talk about Keera. Obviously, it's why we're here. I'm sure you've noticed her beautiful emote whenever you follow. I want to show you first her current final design. Let me know as well. We can turn the cams off if you want to see just the full art. I'm sure we will do that. But first, I want to just talk a little bit about this design, right? This is kind of what we ended up with the first time. You could see, like, she's got a little bit of a different, like, look to her grenades. They still have the little faces on them. They're blue, though. There's a reason for that. It all goes back to kind of, like, things we figured out about the world that we didn't know when Keera was first designed. You can see her gauntlet stone, right? There's these runes carved into it. She kind of has a little bit of that, like, you know, she's got a collar on. You know, that symbol looks familiar, right? We might have snuck in a few things there we like from Gigantic, but she has a lot going on, right? So let's talk about how we first got here, and some of this art's a little embarrassing, a little old.
It's rough. It's early sketches. You know, this is the concept art stuff that people love to see when the game gets big and we release an art book.
Here. I'm gonna remove our cams for a second so you can see this
cool.
this glorious art. Look how old it is. This is like day one art, I swear.
Yeah.
Really old. I'm embarrassed now to show this. But as you can see, like from here, we weren't sure what we wanted to do at all. We were like, oh, she's a coyote with a gun. Like, no. We kind of settled on that design there in the middle with like...
I forgot that we tried lizard.
Oh yeah, we tried lizard. We were like, we want desert gunslinger. Literally the most generic things put together, right?
Yep.
But we decided on this weird kind of goblin kind of look. We liked how the ears looked. We wanted her to be kind of like Tiny Tina. You know, she had like lots of gear. Her kit was very reflective of that. So we ended up with this weird, like, cat thing with goggles.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on because this... But, all right, so this is some of the other really, really early stuff, right? Like, we liked that idea. We wanted to keep the ears. We liked the ears. We kind of liked the collar popped. We liked the idea that she had a tail. We liked bigger hands. Still going with the pistols.
Yeah.
So... I guess you could say, like, Fancy, like, this design was, like, it was a little unsure of what it wanted to be. Did we want her to be wild and scientific, or did we just want her to be a gunslinger? Her name was Quick Draw at this point.
Yeah. And for reference, like, when we landed on this design, we had a kit that was, like, way more, like, kind of Wild West gunslinger inspired. She had, like, a revolver and a like single shot rifle, and the idea was that she had both and she like switched between them, and that she had sticks of dynamite that she would light and throw, and then we wanted to give her some mobility, so she had like a super jump pad that we hadn't really looked into yet, and we wanted to give her like a big turret that she deployed as an ultimate, and it was very like kind of Wild West, kind of like gunpowder punk design, and it was really cool and it had a lot of potential, but something happened.
Yeah.
And we were forced to like pull away from this. So let's keep going through the some of the art that we were going through, the different explorations and variations we did.
Yeah, I think actually right here is where you can clearly see Tart entered the scene.
Yeah.
Enter Tart! Because these are definitely Tart drawings. She really like latched onto this character right away, and I don't know. Like we basically were like, here, make Keera. Here you go. You have no world to put her in, but here she is. And she was really good at just nailing down the personality. We really like this just creative, curious kind of character that Keera is.
Hmm.
And here's some more because we really went back and forth here a lot. We were like, do we want her? Do we want to go full desert? Do we want to go full western? The design still was very kind of going back and forth. We knew we wanted her to have animal themes, obviously, and that was the only thing that really stuck. But other than that, there were a lot of things like, what kind of legs does she have? How much Western? Like, does Western exist in our world the same way? I mean,
Yeah.
we still want to make
So
skins like that. Come on.
yeah, I personally I really like the like Bedouin style desert Kira. I think that's still really cool, but um, we got pulled away from that as well. Let's keep going. We're like
Sorry.
leading up to the first big change that happened with Kira's
Yeah.
design.
Just
Um,
quickly looking at look at all the different variations of that design with what we liked from the previous one, but I'll keep going on here. There's a lot of
yeah.
artwork. You guys might have seen this one too. This is a big promo piece Tart did when she had dynamite and a
Yep.
gun. Just a gun. And her bombs and, just very old design, but like clearly a little different from what we just looked at.
Yeah. And like this is we really can't overstate the amount of impact that Tart had on finding Kira's personality and bringing this character from like wily gun rat into like being a fully developed person with like a range of expression and ideas. And you
Yeah.
can see here that like even though it's almost monochrome and so much of it is roughed out, you can see Tart like really bringing the character to life. You can see that she's like delighting in the frantic explosions and chaos that she is clearly causing.
Yeah. All right, here we go. This is the slide Fancy was talking about. We had to
Yeah.
include this. So like Fancy was saying, her kit was basically she had dynamite. Guess what you did? You threw the dynamite. You could shoot the dynamite. It would explode. You could use that to not like do a super jump. She had a pad she could throw that was a group super jump. And she kind of had a big Gatling gun as an ult. You know what? Ash literally was released when we were
Two
going to show.
days.
Yeah, 2 days.
2 days before we were going to reveal the kit.
2 days. I think I cried that day. No, I actually definitely cried that day. I was very sad. It was like,
Yeah.
how did they come up with this character that is literally the one we just made?
Yeah.
So clearly they have someone on the inside. I'm just kidding, but
I mean, it's nice. I feel like it's nice to get the like achievement unlocked ripped off by a AAA company. Like just get that one out of the way quickly.
yeah. And you know what? Like, no matter what we do, no matter if we say, oh, we designed Cure first, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can't compete with like a Blizzard game, right?
Yeah.
So
I reached when this happened, we were like it literally we like got the entire team together and we sat on a call and just went, what are we gonna do?
yeah.
So I reached out to some of our friends who were working in Motiga when the like HK Bastion conflict was going on, and like when new people came to Gigantic, they were like, HK is just Bastion. They did
Right.
not care that HK came out first. That like HK had unique elements to their design and was the original idea. Bastion was what they were familiar with, and therefore the other thing was a ripoff. And we asked our friends at Motiga, and they were like, "If you have a chance to pivot. You
Yeah.
will never live it down."
Yep.
So we did. We took a hammer and a screwdriver to Kira's kit and threw her artistic design out the window.
Yeah. I mean, that was the turning point. Like,
Yep.
finding that out about Overwatch. And to be honest with you, I think it couldn't have been the better thing for us. Like, it
Yeah.
really was. Like, we don't want to be associated at all with like having a character that is even close to Western theme, like close to another character's kit. Like, let's just make something new. So we just kept going. We were like, okay, we're moving away from Western. Let's just focus on defining Keera and who she is and her personality. And that is when we started to realize Keera could use technology as part of her arm. We weren't sure how exactly or how it worked, but we knew that was going to define her.
Yeah, we kind of looked at Keera as, because we were like producing characters and releasing stories about the world kind of in tandem, and we looked at Keera as an opportunity to kind of show the way that people interact with magic and with like the ancient magical technology that is in the world, and kind of put her as one of the best at using ancient technology, at figuring out magic. And we decided that like we would just take gunpowder out of the world entirely for now and focus on Keera being like some sort of magical savant.
Yeah, and like when you hear that and you look at this art, that doesn't quite fit. Right. Not yet. We knew kind of like where we want it to go a little bit, but we didn't know how to get there exactly. So like some of these early ones, it's like she's very kind of like punk rock looking. She doesn't really look like any kind of mastermind of any kind. So we
Yeah.
knew this wasn't quite there.
But we were still drawing on a lot of tank girl vibes. And then Tart suggested space pirate.
Space
We were
pirate.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's try it.
And so we tried that. We were like, why not? Maybe we can cut a better silhouette. Like her ears in this started changing. They, instead of just being down, we used to have them down and they didn't move much, to now they were starting to like shift, being much more expressive. The gauntlet was starting to evolve into something that was maybe more, I think at this point, stone. But the gun still, we weren't really sure what we wanted to do with that because we didn't have everything really like figured out in the world yet. We didn't really know how exactly would guns work in our world. We didn't know yet. So there were a lot of unknowns. So props to Tart for sticking with all of the unknowns.
Yeah.
And at this point, that's when we finally were like, okay, like we now know enough to change the kit a little bit. We still, unfortunately, like we still had pistols. We weren't sure what exactly to change them with, but we had like mines instead of dynamite, and then I think like no, we still had the group jump pad, but we
Yep.
had a giant rocket as the ult. We thought that was very much more Cure, like it felt more like, maniacal, throwing a rocket at you. Uh,
Yeah. And
but
we were like really committed to the weapon switch, because again, like no thing in game design exists in a vacuum. And one of the things that we really wanted to do with Keera was to give people who play first person shooters kind of an entry point into our game. And the versatile weapon switch mechanic that we of course remember from Gigantic with Beckett is just such a good way to give somebody that familiar feeling of like, of Halo, of Call of Duty, of all these different, like, one of the core functions of the game is the versatile weapon switch. We felt like it was really important to keep that as a part of this character's kit and as a part of her identity as a playable character in the game.
yeah. All right, here we go. So this is another big turning point, I think, for this character. Like from Tart's incredible like drawing, showing the ears up, Kezi came in and he was like, "What if we just kind of give her an X, make her an X shape? That's really, really like much more refined silhouette. Kind of take the shapes in a little bit." And we ran with that. We loved that. He had ideas for the gun to kind of incorporate ancient tech with it. And, here you can see that the gun has a little bit more kind of that stone look to it. It's got like pieces tacked on. We really like that with Keera. We wanted it, no matter what, to feel like she put things together. Here you also can see like the bombs with the faces. It was a theme that we really liked. We were like, oh, they're like emojis. Let's keep this. That was really our only idea for that. That and thinking like, maybe she just likes, graffitiing up stuff, like personalizing everything she had. She had like buttons and pins and all kinds of crazy stuff at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like one of the things that slide in particular really reveals about our character design process is the concept of like a fundamental shape. And this is something that a lot of games do for everybody who's like interested in the game design process, is if you can find like a fundamental simple shape that really expresses a lot of the idea of a character and find ways to reiterate that shape throughout the design, whether it's through like overt or very subtle means, it just helps pull the whole character together. And so Keji finding that X was a huge turning point in us figuring out kind of who Keera was.
Absolutely. And then, like, honestly, that helped Tart make this. Like, Tart really knows Keera inside and out. Like, I might have started this character, but Tart definitely, like, finished this character, and I'm really, really happy about it. And, like, seeing her expressions, you're like, yeah, Keera would be like that. A little maniacal, kind of cute, but mostly you're a little scared of her. So here's like kind of the turnaround here of the design that you saw in the beginning, basically. Like this is kind of the breakdown of her. She still has this kind of like cap with the goggles. She's got this belt. We really still kind of like those little elements. But it's definitely like still felt too cluttered, right? Like it's like not quite there.
There's just a lot going on.
It's a lot going on. But it is a far cry from the Western look, right? This is kind of still got that kind of space pirate vibe going on, which we really, really liked.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that's important to think about with that image is like, we had decided that Keera was like going to be the first character that we really demonstrated the use of like magic and the use of like ancient magical artifacts, which are a pretty prominent element of our world. But we didn't have what those looked like defined yet. So we were like, hey, Tart, draw Keera with a magic gauntlet and a magic gun. And the magic gun is made out of like several broken pieces of magic artifacts. And Tart was like, well, what do magic artifacts look like? And we were just...
Yeah, we were like, oh, we don't know that yet. Yeah, sorry, we don't know that yet. We have to figure that out.
Yeah.
That was a lot of this a lot of this project, honestly. So, really, like, honestly, I have nothing but just the utmost respect for all the artists that have dealt with me, first of all, and then second of all, like, kept going on this even when all the info wasn't available. And like, Tart worked hard to make this awesome ability sheet where we kind of gave prompts like, this is how I imagine her using a rifle, the pistol. Like Tart came up with like Keera rolls, and maybe that's like her dodge, and that kind of feels like Keera brand. So I don't know. It was really fun to kind of see all these moves come out of her. Especially my favorite is like on the right, like her like throwing the grenades. You could see that like underhand, like just very cartoony drawing. That's my favorite one. All right. So since we had a new kind of design that we kind of liked, we were like, all right, let's figure out colors, because something that we've been doing a lot, I've realized, not with our 4 is very bright, but Keera, we were like, you know what? She's around explosives a lot. Maybe she's muted, so this is kind of like, we made a decision to make her like more muted. And we weren't sure exactly about that, but we liked the blue purple. We kind of liked the red. We liked the blue. We wanted to make sure those kind of came through. So we had a lot of ideas, but you can see a lot of them are pretty kind of muted color palettes. But, I mean, I'm all for pink. I wanted the pink one. It's fine. And with this, we kind of had to figure out, how does the gauntlet work? A lot of what we were looking at for ancient technology, we were looking at like Jack and Daxter. Uh, oh God, Hob was another cool one that had like magical rocks, right? And we were like, oh, the gauntlet, of course, it's made out of stone. So for us right now, it was kind of like stone kind of material was kind of what we decided on for ancient tech at that time. And we were like, oh, magic beam energy, it, lights up, and that's just how it works. And the fingers come apart, and they do this cool thing. Speaking of that cool thing, oh, crap. Well, I thought the gauntlet thing was here, but it's not. Let's talk about the kit change real quick. Okay, so real quick, I provided like these silhouettes here so you could really see the change. So like you can see her ears were down. Now they are fully up. She is this X shape. We decided like even her icon palette changed completely. Now blues and yellows. She's got beam energy now, not just like mechanical weapons, right?
Yeah.
And of course, you have the bomb with the face on it. We had to include that. That just felt like so much of her personality.
And we decided that, like with the change to the glove, we would like push its use a little bit more in the game, and we changed her super jump function from being like a jump pad that she shared with her team to being a like Team Fortress 2 style rocket jump where she just blasts the ground and launches into the air.
Yeah, and that was kind of like a call too on like what we thought her personality would be, right? We were like, you know what? Keira's not really a support player. She's for herself. Let's make her ability really reflect that. And that's kind of where that came from. All right, this is cool. Watch this. So Pat, you guys have seen this, but I think it's definitely worth sharing, obviously. It's part of the process. This is the original animation Pat did for Keira's Gauntlet transformation. It's actually really, really cool. You can see how sorry. It was like buffering, going really slow on my end. Anyway, you can see how like the fingers pull apart, spin around, and restructure themselves. It's really cool to watch. So that would have been like, I mean, Pat already did it. That was a test. And that would have been,
Yeah.
like how she ults. Pretty cool, right? Okay, I'll show it one more time. But I don't know if you guys know, I'm sure everybody knows, Pat is the person who does all the modeling. He does animation, rigging. He's basically our 3D guy.
He is our entire 3D department.
He is the 3D department. Yeah, so, like doing things like this is very, very helpful, not only for the 2D team to really understand how things work. Sometimes it's just better to do things in 3D because you really know what works and what doesn't, where you can't sometimes show that in a drawing. Boxfred is also the 3D guy, but Pat made him too. So, I mean, where does that leave us? I don't know. All right. Anyway, this is, Pat department. But super cool. There we go. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
So, that kind of brought us to here, which was some splash art that we did for Keira. Once we were like, okay, we've got the design done. We're done with this character. Let's move on. And then we took a step back and started working on the world again, and we finally figured out what we were doing with ancient architecture and ancient artifacts and the way that looked. And we looked at, and we took on that project kind of pretty objectively. We just went, okay, what's going to look good? What's going to give this like feeling of massive, awe-inspiring like scenery that just like absolutely tells the story of this world had people in it before and they were massively powerful, and this is what is left. And we wound up with really, we'll do another stream for this sometime. We wound up with like massive, like sweeping curves, and we focused a lot on like white, kind of metallic looking architecture and like blue highlights and lots of like really delicate kind of swoopy curvy geometry. And then we took a look back at Keera and we went, oh no, this doesn't fit
Yeah, she doesn't
anymore.
fit. No. So, yeah, I'll bring us to the next slide here. So, this is really getting back into, I guess you can say this is really Keera's second redesign,
Yeah.
which is kind of insane for one character, right? Like, in pretty quick succession. Uh, so, honestly, the first thing that I noticed that I was like, you know what? Keera has too many colors. There's too many colors. There's too much happening. So, it first just started with let's figure out what to do with her grenades. Like, we loved the faces, but too many colors going on, you know? It was distracting. Like, what's the most deadly thing on her? It's her gauntlet, right? It's not like the grenades. And the grenades, we kind of came up with a new way that they work. We're like, what if they're sticky grenades? Like, everyone knows blue. Everyone's played Halo, right? Okay, I shouldn't assume that. Anyway.
But yeah, yeah. So in testing, we should give this background. Like in testing, we had the idea of like proximity mines, but they just weren't fun. We tried a bunch of different ways to like make them feel good. We gave them knockback. We changed their explosion size, and like they just didn't fit with the way that Keera wanted to be moving around the battlefield. And so we had to scrap them. And by looking at how they worked, just kind of like opened Pandora's box of redesign.
Yeah, this was basically like where it started from here. You know when you look at a character and you're like, man, something's off about this character. Like I like it, but like something's not right. And to be honest with you, like the way we were making characters is what was the problem. Um it was very like take one artist and have them do it, and like but now we started opening it up. We had more artists on the team, and this is when we were like, let's have everybody be involved. Let's get more feedback in here. Let's get like, people talking about what the world is like that these characters live in. Let's really figure this stuff out. And here, Tart, after finally being told that the entire team was going to help her, basically put together this amazing reference sheet of all of her references and how she felt like the character needed to be and where she drew from. And it was really, really awesome. This is literally just out of her notes. So it's just like really cool to see this. And you can see kind of like you have Min's take on it and Kezi's take on it and how they drew this character differently. And it started just coming back to life. Really just changing every time she was drawn. There's so many notes on here. I can't go through them all, but it was just incredible. Tart basically did an awesome breakdown of like, here's where the detail is on the character, like lots of triangles because she's not only Axion, sharp, she's DPS. She needs to look like she does damage with all of her shapes. And honestly, like, Tart did an awesome job, like, bringing her notes in and helping the team kind of understand what they needed to help her with. And, I mean, like, you can see it right here, like, the character already looks more dangerous. She looks more professional, too. Here, the gauntlet is kind of just a hand that's flattened, but ignore that. It's not about that. That was the unknown, still, at this point. So here we go. We're really getting into it now, you guys.
So this is what it looks like when you unleash the entire art team on a single project.
Yeah, it's insane. So like here you can see there's all these drawings of Keera, just like her base. Kind of like, what are we trying to do here? She's still got that X shape, but here you can see a bunch of us drew her different ways, trying to figure out like, what are we missing from this character? What's going on? Like, are these elements all working together? Or are they kind of like parts of them are working and parts of them aren't? And here, like, I couldn't stop this. This was just happening. People were just drawing gauntlets at the same time as drawing the character. It was just too much creativity. I couldn't handle it. But honestly, it was really cool. Like with the full power of the art team was unleashed, and we were just getting tons of iterations on everything. Oh, are the guns hidden? Let me move our cameras real quick. Hold on. There you go. I might keep our cameras off a little bit so you guys can see all the art. But yeah, it was a lot of stuff all at once at the same time. It was very hard to separate this art because it kind of happened at the same time. You can see, like, on the left here, there's all these iterations of the gauntlet. But they're all kind of the same, just a variation of what we had before. It's kind of this stone with magic mixed together. Still unknown.
Yeah. And it's still like has a lot of weight to it, which is cool, but like we hadn't figured it out yet, but it was a bunch of stuff that looked good but didn't feel right yet.
Yeah, because you can see here, like, the elements are competing for space, for your attention. Her ears are huge, her tail is huge, her gauntlet's huge, her gun's huge. It's just like too much attention to everything. So we had some really interesting things here. I could put our cameras back on this page. Haha! But here you had Tart actually talking to kind of like an art mentor about how she could help refine this character. And so this person had a really interesting idea. Like, you can see, like, the coat looks very clean here. It's sharp, it's angled. It's what was missing before. She was too symmetrical before, which is weird to think. She started off very symmetrical. And now she's really evolving into being angular. And here we started really figuring out that silhouette. We really liked where this was going. And here, I just want to include all the Gauntlet Exploration because there's a ton of it. This is kind of where we started, right? It was like, here's the stone. Here's like a version of the stone. It's got like crystals on it. It's got, I don't know, like stones set into it. It's got like this wrapped kind of look. That's what we started kind of gravitating towards.
Yeah, and the more the art team like pushed it in the direction of these like swoopy, curvy shapes, the more it started to feel like it was relating to the work that we had done defining the ancients outside of Keera's gauntlet design. And our goal with Keera from when we like switched her from gunpowder to ancient magic was to have a character that presented the way that magic looks in the world. And until we landed on something that felt like it tied into all of our like world building concept work, we knew we had to keep iterating.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it was hard because there were almost like too many ideas at this point. And sometimes when there's too many ideas, there's so many good ones that it's really hard to pick a direction. What we were really still lacking was kind of that connection to ancient tech that we kind of felt Keera really needed. You know, we didn't want her to be something that didn't make sense anymore. Like, this had to be it. This was it. Like, we knew this is it. We're figuring her out now. We can't leave anything up to chance. So literally, world building was happening at the same time. And, you know, we wanted to keep the personality of Keera, but, like, keep making sure she was streamlined, and it wasn't quite there yet. But as you can see here, Keera, you know, she's missing part of her arm. We all know that, right? But it was an idea. We were like, nope, we're not giving that up. This is happening. How do we make the gun look like it relates to the gauntlet at all? Like, is the gun more handmade than the gauntlet? So many questions. And that's when ancient tech finally emerged in like our process. We finally figured it out. It had taken a long time, and I mean, like, this has taken months and months to figure out. This is an amazing drawing done by D-Pad, but I will give Kezi just as much credit as well for helping through the entire process, doing tons of concept work. Fancy helped too. You know, basically, the direction of this was from you. Very swoopy, very different. Uh, okay. Why white and gold, you might say? There might be another character in the game already that has those colors. Just saying.
And what we were going for with these is we wanted to really just like drive home with a sledgehammer the idea that the world is like magical and so much of it is constructed. So like all throughout the landscape, you can see spires like these that are like mountain tall, and they have like floating pieces of building that are like held together by like strings of magical blue energy. That you look up at it if you're in the world and you just go, "Oh, well, that's magic." And it took us a lot of work to zero in on these shapes and these styles. And once we had this strong, balanced with delicate level of like massive precision and mystery, we really started to have a feeling for like what the ancients were making when they were building the world, and how small handheld or literal hand devices might look given that this is what they did on the massive scale.
Yeah. Perfectly well way to put it. Like, strong but delicate is really kind of the look of these, and like how does that translate to weapons? That was the giant design problem to solve here. But at least we knew now the direction we could go for kind of the ancient tech and exactly how it functions and looks. Well, how it functions, that's a different story. We'll get into that. All right. So here we have more gauntlet drawings, because still this was a giant, very difficult problem.
When something isn't working, it's best to just like walk away from it and attack it from as many different angles as possible.
Absolutely, yeah. And like, I mean, you all probably know who drew this adorable picture of Keera here. Definitely made by Kezi. Kezi
I
just
looked at the one where she's got the fanged teeth and the giant.
Oh
my
yeah,
God.
it's so cute. All the ones on the
I'm
left
okay.
are Kezi. Like, Kezi had all these really creative ideas that like we were like, we like that, but like it's not what we're doing right now. We can't completely change her. But I love the ideas. And on the right here we have Min's drawings of like Keera using the gauntlet. You could see keeping with the separated look. But these gauntlets still don't really reflect the ancient tech yet.
Yeah,
So
they
they're-
still have so much weight to them. And we're like exploring more with the detached fingers and the floaty bits and the like prominence of like blue magical elements. But it still feels like it could be something out of Mass Effect, and that's just not quite where we wanted to be with it.
Yeah. Yeah, we could also probably get you guys an emote of Keera with holding the giant gauntlet. I really like that. That should be an animated GIF.
Keshi, are you here? Get on it.
Yeah, right? Master Hand Keera, they call her. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it wasn't quite right. But there were just so many of these ideas thrown around. Sorry. Here we go. Here's more. While drawing her a lot, like Min was kind of getting really used to the character. There was this idea of maybe shoulder armor, maybe her entire arm was the gauntlet. What if she was melee? Obviously, we're not changing her to melee because she would need a completely different kit. But the ideas were cool, Like, what if it's this glowing, weird thing that opens up and magic slashes out of it? I loved seeing all these crazy ideas. Really fun. And once again, there's the like little lumpy kind of bomb, But here it looks like it's actually coming out of her gauntlet, which is something we really like the idea of. There's so much art, you guys. I'll keep going because there's a lot of gauntlets, right?
Yeah. I think the bong being generated by the gauntlet was kind of a turning point in her design too, because it really kind of pushed us in the direction of, okay, let's make sure that the gauntlet is kind of integral to her design and not stuck on there.
Yeah. It can't be an afterthought. It has to be integrated in a way that really feels right. And, here we have all these crazy ideas. Like, you even see changes and variations in the ears, the earrings, the tail. Everything kept changing as people kept kind of like just trying ideas out. So it was kind of like there was a lot of wrangling going on, which is hard because, you want people to really explore. The shape, though, is looking right. It's just like the gauntlet needed some love. And here we have like a lot of different ideas. Like, I think the top left is D-Pad's idea. That definitely looks like a D-Pad drawing of kind of the gauntlet. That one looks a lot more ancient techy than the other ones do, right? Except for the one on the bottom right. That one also has that layered look to it. But something still wasn't quite right about it, right? Those two are definitely sticking out from the rest of them here that really look much more like animated stone. So here's even more explorations. I felt like I really needed to include this because this was Min kind of really just taking it to the sci-fi level. We thought this felt a little too like high tech. It was maybe like getting there, but like little too high tech, but I loved his drawings of how the gauntlet opened. That's probably my favorite drawing right there. But we realized right here, I mean, like, she fires a giant beam and it's blue. Yeah. No more yellow. Only blue. Yeah, very Vault Hunter-y. I guess I could see that. But the shapes here on the top left are very much kind of, we really liked the swoop. We liked that, it had that angle to it that we liked. And that, like, that teardrop shape, that very reminiscent of the rest of her, right? Very, like, triangle. You could see it right there. You could see it, how it ends, too. So here's even more drawings. I told you, there's a lot of these. There's so much art. So people kept really hammering in the idea that they needed to be figured out at the same time, right? The gauntlet and the gun. So, and by the way, her gun turns into a rifle. So you got to figure out that too. We figured out that her gun transforms into the rifle, and even that had a lot of debate to it. It was like, do we want two weapons? Do we want the gauntlet have something to do with the transformation into the rifle? It was just like a lot to figure out, and a lot of demands pretty much for the art team to try and do. It was very overwhelming, actually. Just really, whatever pistol you make, you got to make sure it can transform into a rifle. So a lot of like restrictions. But here, like, you can see like the bottom guns are, oh, you can't see them, hold on. Move our cams. Okay, so the bottom ones here, you can see like those guns, that was like too chunky. We were like, nah, like, I don't think we want to go that big. But I think here's where we started to realize we wanted even her pistol to be slightly different. We knew it wasn't going to be like a reloading kind of revolver anymore. It had to kind of evolve with like how her kit was evolving.
Yeah. And I think we did talk about like her using the energy from her gauntlet to recharge that power core that is kind of floating on there. I don't think we've animation tested that yet to see if it looks good, but it was something that we were talking about in the design stage.
Yeah. And that really leads into more like gun kind of designs. And I mean, I know like all these sections have a lot of artwork. So I'm going to start with like the old stuff, right? The old stuff is, we had this pistol, kind of like reminiscent a little bit, I'll be honest, of Diva's pistol. It had that little like charm to really customize it as like, this is the thing somebody put together, somebody likes to kind of like tinker with. It had runes etched into it. This is her drawing of Tart's drawing, sorry, of how like it transforms and how she kind of flips it open, and there it is in rifle form. So super old. You guys have probably seen this, but yeah, a lot of her designs for the gun kind of came back to this, like they had eyes either in like the gauntlet or the gun. Like it felt like it was its own character in a way, so it just kind of always was drawn like that. And here you can see, this is literally like a picture from a draw session we all the artists had together, where Tart came up with like a few of her ideas, and Kezi drew some, and Min drew some, and Deepad drew some. And like here you can see the middle two, those are definitely like, this is how a gun could fit together to have things kind of come out of it. And I think Deepad was really the only artist who could kind of get a real grip on that. So he helped a lot with trying to figure out these rifle and pistol designs, where a lot of other people's were a little too sci-fi or a little too fantasy. It had to be that like sweet spot. Let me move the cam again so you guys can see that gun real quick. Yeah, chunky gun on the bottom. Okay, next. All right, at this point, we knew the gun had to be a scatter gun. It was no longer a pistol. Do you want to talk about that fancy at all?
Yeah. So we were testing, and like we had kind of just piggybacked the idea of a slower firing revolver type pistol as as the like default gun that she would have. And it just like, it was weird in testing. It felt like it was just the wrong rate of fire. It wasn't slow enough that each shot felt like it could have really heavy impact, which was something that we wanted to save for the rifle. And then if we sped it up anymore, it felt like a machine pistol, which like Beckett was great, and we wanted to pay homage to Beckett in making the character, but we wanted to give Keera some more distinct functionality so that she didn't feel like a copy paste. And machine pistol just didn't feel right either, because we wanted each shot to feel like it had impact, even if it wasn't like the low rate of fire of the rifle. But it was kind of hard to aim, and it was kind of hard to like time the shots, and we couldn't find a sweet spot for it. So like, much like we did with her design, where, you know, when things weren't working, we just like threw everything out and started over. We looked at her gun from the mechanical side and went, okay, what other things can like short handheld gun weapons be? And from there, we pretty quickly landed on the idea of more of a scatter gun. So instead of like revolver shots, we gave her a like something that allows her to cover a bit of an area in closer range fighting, which kind of leans even more into the flexibility of her firepower if we give her like an AOE or a pseudo AOE that that like she has on her base attack, and that just seemed really fun. And the artists were really excited about the idea of making her pistol a little bit chonkier than a revolver to kind of cover the idea of it firing a spread.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like that, it also kind of like made more sense with her character, if that makes sense. She's kind of like a little all over the place, kind of like a scattergun is. So I don't know, like hearing that like that kit change and like, you know, experiencing it like with gameplay, like I definitely agree. It really feels more like Keera. And these were the first drawings by Min to kind of like try to figure out, what does this look like? Does it have kind of pieces on top of it? Like a lot of these actually, you can see influences from the ancient tech architecture that we showed. There's like swooping pieces, and we liked that, and we liked kind of like how the orb, we saw it as the power source of the gun. We wanted to keep that. We know that, but these felt kind of like still too like high tech for Keera. So we knew these weren't quite there, but it was one of those awkward calls where you're like, I like what you're doing. It's not quite right. Make more. And
So, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry. No, you go first.
Oh, I was just the one of the things that we recognize in, or at least for me, I like tried to stay out of this and let the art team mostly do their thing. But one of the things that really jumps out at me from this page is that we tried a lot of like angular, like pointed designs. We've got all these like triangle shapes pointing forward that look super cool, but just they don't have that like scattergun. They feel more like a needler than they do like a mini shotgun kind of thing.
Yeah. And I mean, if you guys were wondering who drew these, it's Kezi.
Yeah.
Kezi always manages to bring that
Yeah.
cuteness that I think we need.
One of the oh geez, we switched slides. I didn't catch that. One of the like most important things about doing concept art we've found is to throw out just tons and tons of ideas, because everything that doesn't work gives you some information about directions not to move in. And so by finding things that aren't where we want to go, we learn more about where we do want to be.
Yeah. And I saw a question come up that I wanted to talk about real quick. The question was basically like, did the idea of not using a trigger come up in brainstorming? And yes, actually, there were a lot of ideas. Maybe, Keera can control it with like her gauntlet. Maybe the gauntlet, she could just call on the power of it and it just fires. She doesn't need a trigger, right? Why? It's a magic gun. Uh, but honestly, we did think of that, but it kind of was more like we liked the shape that the trigger kind of added to the silhouette of the gun. So that's kind of why we ended up going with it, more like the aesthetic look. But anyway, these are cute guns that we didn't go with, but I love how they're drawn so much.
Yeah. And to that question, it also kind of fits with the theming of the world, where like crossbows are one of the big weapons of the day. So the idea that if Keera was going to make her own gun, it would incorporate a trigger just kind of fit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love the chunky guns. They're cute. They have so much personality. Okay, gonna move on to the next slide. All right, so we move on to the rifle, right? The rifle needed its own just mess of sketches and ideas. And here, this is all from Min. And Min was trying to figure out, okay, like, how does she look when she has this? Let's give it kind of the sharpness. Let's give the pistol the sharpness. And here, even here, you could see kind of this animal-looking gun, right? This thing definitely has an eye, has a mouth, it's got a nose. The faces are everywhere, which is great. I don't know, like, even if it's hard to tell at a first glance, it definitely gives it personality, right? And we like this, but I think the call here was that the rifle looked a little bit more like a chicken, and I just don't see that as Keera, I love the idea.
Chicken gun.
But I love these sketches Min did of her holding it. Really, really cool looking. All right, so here, this is a continuation of Min's sketches for the rifle and the pistol. Here is where we were really feeling we were getting close. We were really liking these shapes. We really liked kind of how the gun still had a face. It still had personality to it. It didn't quite feel like ancient tech, but it was close. And we thought maybe like, let's go with this. Like, we're not quite there. How exactly does this gun pull out into a rifle, right? Like, how does that work? A lot of these pieces don't exactly look like they can kind of, fold in like a Nerf gun, right? Or something that's like, how like plastic pieces fit together? That's kind of what we wanted, but it was hard to kind of make that into 2D. But we really liked where this was going. Yeah, so honestly, realistic fitting together rather than magic fitting together, right? That's kind of what we were going for here. And this brings us to my last slides of this presentation. our final design, stuff we actually decided on, final art. And
Don't worry, there's still 12 more slides.
yeah, there's still 12 more slides. It's fine. I've been talking forever. All right, so we're going to run through like the final everything. Are you guys ready? I don't know, I was trying to like start like a chant, but I realized that I'm at my computer and I can't hear you, so that doesn't work. All right, let's go. All right, first up, Final Gauntlet. This was a beast to do. I mean, you guys have seen it now. Like, there were a lot of ideas. This gauntlet kind of fits together a lot of ways like a turtle. It's a turtle shape. It's got a shell to it. It's got a core to it. These are really cool drawings. Kezi did a few of these, and D-Pad did a lot of these. He literally made tons of technical drawings to figure out how this thing works. And you can really see it on the top left. That is the final drawing of the gauntlet. I have another one to show you, don't worry. But there was a lot of how D-Pad figured out how this thing actually comes apart and transforms, and it took a long time. So seeing kind of like that final shape, it's this triangle teardrop. It's this perfect kind of shape we were really happy with.
I was so blown away when I saw this. So I was like bouncing in and out. I checked in on this project every couple of weeks, just in case they needed some support. They were mostly just doing fine and making tons of art. But when I saw this gauntlet, I was like, they're onto something. Like the thing that I really love about this design is that it captures the delicate swoopiness of the ancient aesthetic with the open space in the back of the gauntlet and this feeling that it's got this like curve of this like strong curve of metal, but it's not a solid piece. So it still has this lightness, this delicacy to it that really kind of delivers home that it's wildly advanced and magical. And I think that after like jumping around to so many different designs, zeroing in on this, your team did an amazing job figuring out this puzzle.
Thank you, because I wanted to break it to you that the actual final design is the hot dogs with the spaghetti in them. That is the final design. I don't know if you guys thought I was talking about... You just walked away. Anyway, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. So Kezi sent me that block of images, and I was like, I don't really know what this means, but I'm gonna put it in there. Kezi did it. It must be important. But I think the idea was, it all fits together great. Blame Kezi. Anyway. I'm
just gonna send him a dozen hot dogs for Christmas.
Yup. Thanks, everybody. Next slide. All right. This is not hot dogs or spaghetti. This is more of the Gauntlet sketches. Here you can really see that she almost has this she does what we were thinking. Okay, sorry. For her kind of propulsion, like self-propulsion skill, that's what the left is, right? It's kind of showing, she almost does this Iron Man thing where her palm comes up and it propulses her like up or to the side. Like we can do anything with that, like dodge to the side using like almost like a dab, like she'd go like that. With her gauntlet.
Oh my god, dab dodge, let's do it.
Exactly. She could do that kind of thing, and that's like how we imagine the gauntlet being. I think it was incorporated into dodges and her super jump move. Exactly. And D-Pad even had cool ideas like, what if the bomb gets shot out of the like gauntlet arm? Like what if it just goes forward? And I thought that idea was so cool because that's very like just quick, like how she could do that, right? But it kind of like it brought out too much like Keera doing things. Like maybe it felt like she was relying on tech too much when maybe she had been without it for a lot of her life, so it didn't feel quite right. Like it felt like she needed to hold this weapon and feel like she was the one responsible, like she's in control. And that's kind of why we didn't go with this idea, but I thought the idea was so cool.
And we wouldn't have known that unless we had tried it.
Exactly. So props to the D-pad for just trying various ways to make things work. And here we go. Here's new Keera, you guys. I just want you to see this and revel in it. This is Keera. So this is made by men. There are a few things in here that I haven't mentioned because I thought I wanted it to be a surprise. So you can see here her hair's in front of her face, right? What's different? What do you guys notice about that? What could that possibly mean? There's no spaghetti in this picture. You're right. It's terrible. So I'll say this. She's missing an eye. It really adds to the asymmetry in her. It really kind of connects her to R4 more. We felt like those characters are both missing something, and it felt right for Keera. Like a person who's constantly tinkering with things they shouldn't be. That's Keera. That probably can't always have ended well. And here you can see she's got a collar, and her design is much more simplified. We took away a lot of the extra details. We wanted to highlight the gun, highlight the gauntlet, the things that are actually going to kill you in a game. And I'm really, really happy with that. We kept the Margrave kind of like tribute necklace. That was a demand from the artist. So I'm really happy they convinced me about that one. But here, her coat really is cutting that silhouette that we want it for Axion. Okay, I'm going to keep going because there's a few more here. Here's her final turnaround, you guys, made by Tarte, naturally.
This is the reference that Pat draws on when making the models. This is a really important technical piece.
Yeah. In terms of how she lost all of her limbs, that's still kind of being worked into her backstory. So I would wait. We'll wait to reveal that. Don't worry, you guys. She's getting a new piece of lore. I mean, everything with her is new. Yeah, like this is a Keera Renaissance. Let me move our cameras out of the way. I think we're in the way. I'm sorry. Okay. But yeah, you can see here. I'm sure you guys noticed her fingers of the gauntlet are now. We decided they were hollow, right? Hollow, and the magic is flowing through them, making them function like fingers. So she really doesn't have a hand in there. It's all magic. But the silhouette really plays really well with her shape now. It's just like the gauntlet fits right in. I'm so happy. All right, next one. Spaghetti flowing through the fingers, right. All right, so this isn't the completely updated one. I know Min did a new one, but I couldn't find it. But here is the updated final gun, the final rifle. This is what it looks like. And once again, we're back to having that face on the rifle, right? It's still got that personality to it, but it is updated. It looks professional. Keira's a professional now.
Acquisitor General. It's quite a title.
And she is kind of a badass. Got the wires. We'll be posting artwork of this, you guys. Like, so if I missed anything or you missed any art, I'm sure you won't miss it for long. But I'm really, really happy about how this turned out. Looks super cool. I love the colors. All right, and here we go. Here's a nice render and like a bunch of notes from D-pad, the guy who basically made Gauntlet. Everybody helped, obviously. Don't get me wrong. But he did such a fucking good job. Sorry. Oops. Don't demonetize me.
We're not monetized.
That's true. But here you can see the underside and like exactly the pieces that make this thing fit together. There's so much thought put behind this, and like the fact that this thing can actually transform and all the pieces go somewhere, that takes a lot of work. So I'm just really happy about this. Like, just breathe it in. It took so long to get here. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And for everybody wondering why it takes so long to make a character, it's because we have this standard of quality that we've set for ourselves. It can't just look cool. We have to understand how it works. And that means we do all this extra stuff to make sure it tracks when we like theory craft around what it would be like if it was real.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's sometimes why designs just take long. And that's okay, honestly. Like, I'd rather them take longer and us really come up with something amazing than just rush through and be like, yeah, this is fine for now, you know? And I mean, like, the amount of work that was put into this, like, it was a team effort. Everybody's voices made this character. And it's I don't know, I'm really happy about it. All right. I hit you with the expressions. Move our cameras again. Look at her. She's beautiful. So these are the new expressions. Guess who made them? Yeah, it was Tart, obviously. But even these are different than the ones we've seen before. These are just refined. Like she looks more grown up somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, the cute one is still really cute. But that board one, that like bottom right one, that like, I love that one. That's me. Being disappointed at my team just kidding, in video games. Just, oh God, these guys. All right, anyway. I love it. I hope you guys do too. All right, let's see. I think we're on like some of the finals, guys. All right. Actually,
we can skip this one.
Okay.
Well, okay. No, actually,
just look
no,
at the silhouette. The silhouette is okay. So I didn't finish the icons. Don't hate me. Sorry, I skipped a slide and then I went back. But here, I just want to show off the silhouette change to show you how significant that is. She's just like, the character has room to breathe now, where everything was just too compacted before. Okay, now we can move on because there's no icons to look at. I failed. I'm sorry. This is the real thing though. Like the real like Keera evolution. Like look at that. Like we came so far from this chunky character to this now streamlined version, and just seeing this is just like, this is the art team progression. Now we're like this force to be reckoned with. And like, I don't know. I'm really happy with this. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool to see. All right, I think these last few are, this is where the money is. Let's go. Bam! It Keera.
Yep.
So this was done by Min, and I want to just like leave you guys with this tidbit, but Min has plans to do this kind of a thing for all of our roster. So I'm really, really, really excited. Just like seeing her there, like, you know, there's ancient tech on the ground, like with her gun and her gauntlet, looking badass. She's our girl.
This is like really, like, it's a demonstration of how far we've come in so many fields. Like how far we've come as an art team working together, like how far we've come like really defining the world and how our characters fit into it, how far we've come like technically as artists, like nailing down the functional needs of characters for the game. You need that strong silhouette. You need that focus on the weapons. You need the clean lines all over the character that pull your attention to where they need to be so that it expresses to players what the character does. And it's just like Keera was just the perfect candidate for a redesign because like the progress that we made in other areas of development just kind of demanded it of her design. And look at this. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm so happy. Also, somebody said she looks pretty cocky for being stranded, like, on an island in the void, and I kind of like that. Amazing. But yeah, like, this is why we did this. You know, like we would never have thought of this design unless we actually like took the time to go through this whole process with the whole team. And like I'm so proud of them. They did like an amazing job, and it is a lot of work, as you've seen, to get here. So I can only imagine characters from us will follow the same process and will be more streamlined the way Keera is. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide before I take all your time up.
All right. Here's the prizes.
Whoa! What are these? You might have seen one of these popping up in the stream. These were made by Jacob, and I think Kezi did the silly Keera face on the bottom left. So we're going to have these pop up. I know we didn't get them in the stream. I also realized this top left one, it's missing the correct color. That's fine. Don't worry. We'll get those to you guys after the stream. But hey, you'll be able to use them for next stream. Wow, isn't that cool? I know. They're great. Good job, Jacob. Good job, Kezi. Yeah, I'm super happy about this. All right, guys. Here's the last. I think there's 2. Bam! Updated art.
Yeah.
Look at this slick splash screen art by Kezi. Here's our girl looking amazing and maniacal and just freaking fantastic. So I'm sure like we can get you guys some wallpapers, some cool art to keep after the stream. I know, right? All right, hold on. There's just one more I wanted to share with you because Kezi did this and I had to share it. The gun's being fired! I'm being murdered. It's not really that big of a difference, but I don't know. I thought it was cool. All right. Well, that's it, you guys. I think I will head us back into the cam view, and we'll answer some final questions before we end the stream. Yeah. Okay, one second. Boop! Hello! We are here now. Here to answer some questions. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing Keera's evolution. I think she has the most art out of any character we've ever done.
I think Cake comes close, but Cake was kind of a one and done. Talk more about Cake later.
Oh, yeah.
So this question has come up a couple of times, and I think it's a really good one. Pectoral asks, seeing all the work needed to redesign her multiple times, are you going to focus more on the elements of the game's world before trying to define another character? I mean, that's tough because when you need to make a character, you need to make a character. We have built out a lot more in our narrative department. We have a bona fide narrative director that is a better writer than I am, finally. So that's really nice. And we're working on integrating the world building and the like 2D art side to work together and make sure that we have that, like, when the character asks questions of what the world is going to be, the narrative team is there to answer it. So we don't find ourselves in a situation where we make a character that suddenly doesn't fit into the world as we define the world. And fortunately, the more that we define the world, the easier it is to find places to put the characters into it. The tricky thing with Keera in particular was that she was our second character, and we decided to use her to tell the entire story of magic in the world, which had yet to be defined. And those two things together make for a very difficult process. And I think the big actionable takeaway for us on that is that the next big thing that we need to tell about the world is going to get defined before we use a character to tell that story. And now we have the resources to do it, which is great, because previously the narrative team was like me writing in my free time between project management and design stuff. So Yes, basically, we're going to focus more on elements of the world because we can. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, like, I will say this one more time because I need to say it. I love you, art team. Thanks for dealing with me. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all your hard work. I want you to know I repped you hard in this chat, and I will always rep you. You guys do awesome, awesome stuff. I was gonna say a worse word there, but I caught myself. This is for you. Manners. Anyway, but yeah, you guys, like, I want to answer a question I saw in chat too about like combining the gun with the gauntlet for an ult. Yeah, we thought of that too. We were thinking about all kinds of crazy stuff, but then it was like, how does that work? Like, if we want it to be like actual realistic rather than just magic, like, it kind of got off the rails here and there. We had to kind of bring it back, like course correct, and be like, no, let's stick with something that's like not incredibly difficult, but like reachably difficult, you know? We don't want people spending months and months on just this redesign when we have like lots of other stuff to do, you know? So we settled for that option.
I saw a question I really liked. Where'd it go? Astrodork asks how we've been dealing with making a game while still developing our team, and which has been the bigger problem to solve. I'm a huge business geek, and my education is in business development, so I have a lot to say about this. But before I ramble, Danielle, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you have anything that you want to say about like building an art team while simultaneously trying to produce for the like larger needs of a game?
It's hard. uh, it's a lot of trusting people. That's what I've learned the most. I think it's kind of like, you know, you give people the most information you can. You're like, here's your parameters. The better parameters you have, the easier it is for them to do things. And then you tell them, here's your due date. But, you know, if you don't get it, I'm not gonna be mad at you. And then, you know what? Like, as long as you are producing work yourself, people I've noticed have kind of done their share, and or even more than that a lot of the time. And I don't know, I like having my hands in all the pots. It's fun. But
Yeah.
also some days I come home and I play video games all day and then go to bed because I can't do any more work. That happens.
Yeah, it's important to take time off. And that's just true anywhere. From my perspective, I think like making a game is a tricky thing, building a team is a tricky thing, and the real tough problem to solve has been figuring out how to strike a balance. Because you can't direct a team to make content that you don't know what it's going to be, and you can't dive in super hard on making something when you don't know how your team is going to take to the projects. And this is like made even more complicated by the fact that we're all volunteers. So we're also juggling, all of us doing this in our free time and thinking about the fact that we could be looking for paying work instead. So the like single biggest problem to solve throughout this whole process has been like, really the hardest thing has been like remembering when to tap the brakes so that we don't wind up burying ourselves in scope creep, which is something that especially like new teams and like new team members want to do, is just throw everything at the board and try and make it all happen. And like really the best way to get this done is to be methodical and just try and tackle one or a small number of problems at a time, and then make sure that everything we do, the most important thing to do is learn from it. Like we have been through, I think, 3 R4, like rigged R4 models, and we're planning on doing another one.
Yeah.
And like, if we look at that and go, oh, that's all wasted work, it feels terrible. But if we look at that and go, look at how much we've learned and how much we've improved our process, then it informs how we can do a better job in the future. And I think that's what's really like makes this whole thing run, is that it feels like we're all learning and improving at what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's definitely, I mean, that's reflected right here by this presentation. Like even my
Case in point.
presentation was better this time than last time. So yeah, it's been a lot, but really like thank you guys for, following along with us and like, being patient. I mean, this is still like everybody's spare time kind of project, so sometimes like there's less work than other times. It's just the nature of it. I want to answer real quick. What was our inspiration for Keera? Let's see. I'm gonna say Daxter from Jack and Daxter a little bit of Tiny Tina. Those characters, like their personalities, very kind of like prickly and just like no nonsense attitudes. We really kind of liked that a lot. There's a few other characters. I think there's one of the characters from Borderlands, like one of the new ones. Not Tiny Tina. I can't remember her name. She's the sister. She's a boss. I don't know. Anyway, like Tiny Tina, huge, huge inspiration. And Tank Girl, because the attitude.
Yeah. I felt a little bit inspired by pop artist and like international superstar MIA in like some of Keira's inspiration. I don't know how much of it came through, but this is like the stuff that I was poking at when we were really early in development. That person in particular has a really amazing backstory. Go watch her documentary; it's wild. And the like kind of I came up through a bunch of really unlikely circumstances, and now like I'm a big deal. Like trajectory just felt like a good one to take Keira on, and I don't know if it like translated over one to one, but I feel like a lot of it worked out really well. So that would like on top of all the stuff Danielle said here, like for me, like just a little bit of real world inspiration from there I thought was kind of cool. And also like her sense of styles, and I think Keira really nails that.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many questions. I don't know if we can answer them all, you guys. I know there's a lot of questions about like the trailer. There's some questions about Kira's model, 3D model. Well, I'll say this. Her design's done. We're not changing it. That might give you some insight.
Certainly not until after we've released more characters and brushed up some other designs.
Yeah, honestly, like the next thing on our like kind of to-do list is like, we got Keira here. All the other characters now have to be there. They have to be that level and everything
Yeah.
moving forward. So that might
I
give us
think
some
Geist is
insight.
here. I don't think we need to mess with
Guys,
Geist.
Geist
Like,
is fine, but we have to revisit. We're gonna revisit a little bit. Matani R4, obviously. I know a lot of people have been talking about R4. Akka. Like, we're gonna have to do it. We now know our factions. We know a lot more shapes that we want for them. So we have to update the art as the world's been updated. And it sucks, but it's been a learning process. And you know what? Like, we're way better off than we were. Like, our team's just way stronger. So it had to happen. But I'll say this: I love
a quick- oh,
R4.
go ahead.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I love R4, so I can only promise so many changes, but we're not doing another model before that happens, so.
Yeah. Um, do. Oh, there was somebody asked a real quick question. Why does Keira fold her boots like that? The answer is because it looks real sweet with her angular coat, and she knows it.
Yeah, that's basically it. And like, I don't know. I'm sure like you noticed that she used to have weird mismatching shoes, and there was this big discussion about does that actually work? Like that would be weird. So how we solved that problem was why not the same boot but one's just folded over. It really just gives that angular, like asymmetric look just by that alone. So it was a very simple fix to a hard problem.
Yeah. And like most hard problems that we've been finding in game design have really simple solutions that are very difficult to find.
I mean, fashion. That's why.
I mean, I think that was actually, I think I was on the call for that one. I think that was actually the discussion was like, well, hang on, how would it look if Keera did her boots like this? Oh, it looks sweet. Would Keera do something that looked sweet? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she would.
She knows she's the shit. Oh, I mean, the hotness. It's fine.
Yeah. There have been some questions about trailer, about new gameplay footage, about game name stuff, and you know me, I'm only going to answer this stuff vaguely. We're doing some like really, like we're trying to generate a whole bunch of new gameplay content at this time before we roll out some new footage to really give you some like before and after perspective. So you're going to see Box Friend being like with new abilities and doing stuff that characters in our game haven't done yet. You're going to see some new map layouts probably at some point. And as far as trailer and game name go, like our plan at this point is like, I'm sorry for the teaser, but like the trailer is really sweet. And at this point, we want to hold on to it so that we can use how sweet the trailer is to like really drum up excitement for when the game is ready to bring on a bunch of people. So it's going to be a while because we want to make sure that the game is ready to get like, 2,000 new signups in a day. Because we think that the trailer is going to have big impact. We've talked to some like really experienced game marketing consultants, showed them the trailer, and they were like, wow, I can't believe you're holding on to this content. That's really hard to do. Keep doing that until you're ready to make a big splash. And like, that's what's going to happen. Sorry, we're not releasing it now. Also, we need to update the Keera pieces in the trailer with her new art because
like
it's not done anymore.
Like a lot of our processes before, we kind of jumped the gun on a lot of stuff. Like we thought we were further than we were when we had the trailer was ready, but we're not anymore, and it's okay. Like we have to take that step back, realizing like we can't just release things without having like the full plan, and that's okay. That's been something we're not gonna fall into anymore. No more of that. We're done. But we did talk about wanting to start giving you guys more art updates and art content more regularly. So I have like a vault of unused art that is just waiting for your eyes to see it. So get ready. We're going to start really showing you guys some more work. I'm sorry. I've been hogging it all to myself for no reason at all.
I think we should answer one last question. Somebody says, can we get more dev streams in the future? The answer is yes. We don't have a date for it yet, but our next one of these is, can I tell them?
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
Our next one of these is going to be the debut of Cake, the patron designed character. We've been sitting on that one for a while, and our plan originally was to roll that out with the alpha, but the alpha is taking longer than we expected, so you guys are going to get Cake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I see a question I really want to answer about asking if we will do an art book. I'll be honest with you, this presentation was inspired by looking at some. So yes, absolutely. We have enough art that I am confident we can fill an art book. I mean, this was like 60 something slides or something, so with lots of team notes everywhere and stuff like that. Yes. Now that we know there's a market for it. But yeah, we're really excited to show you the next character. Like we want to do these a lot more often. I know it's been a long time, and you guys have been starved clearly for content. Uh, so yeah, of course, if you don't mind it being another one like this, because it will be more an art stream presentation than gameplay, right?
Yeah.
And then we could say, "Let them eat cake." Oh my God! Yes.
Why not? Yeah. Oh, and I guess I'm just going to answer a question and do the like obligatory shameless plug. Yes, patrons are going to be getting sweet backgrounds of some of this new Keera art. So it's $1. You don't have to keep doing it if you don't like it. But the people in there seem to enjoy it, so we're going to keep it up.
Yeah, and you get previews of new character stuff before anybody else does, which is kind of cool.
The patrons did all see this see some of this like a week ago. So if you just can't wait for streams, news comes out on Patreon before it comes out to the public. We do tell everybody everything eventually, but yeah, they get to see it first. I think it's fair.
I forgot to put the patron link on the stream. Maybe somebody can plug it in the Twitch chat real quick.
I have the website memorized.
Patreon Project Stamina. There you go. Head over or don't. Or maybe do. There's still, I think, some free content to read on there.
Yeah. Actually, here's one more piece of news. So last year in April, we made like all of the prior year available for free on Patreon. And people liked it, gave everybody something to read during quarantine. We're still in quarantine and people still need stuff to read. And now that stuff's a year old. So we are going to, I don't have a date, but we'll make an announcement when it happens. We're going to make some more free content available on Patreon for you to check out. And if you haven't seen any of it yet, go check it out. There's a ton of free stuff about the beginning of the project. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm a patron. I'm a $1 patron.
I'm a $5 patron. What are you doing?
I pay myself $1 to work on this game.
Yep. And Patreon keeps a portion of it, and so do taxes.
Yeah, so I get nothing. Woo! Anyway, I was gonna say I saw a few questions here. If you guys are interested in joining the team, like we will always, encourage you if you are interested to apply. You can do that through Discord. There's some links where you can basically fill out a form of what your kind of like fields of expertise are and your experience and all that kind of stuff. And I'll be honest with you, we get a bunch of these and sometimes it's hard to go through them at like certain times or whatever. Right now, like I would say we're looking for somewhat experienced people. That is kind of where we're at right now. But hey, you know what? If you think you got the chops, feel free to fill out that form.
Yeah. Especially if you're a VFX artist.
Yeah, we like that. Engineering would probably be good.
Yeah. Gameplay ability systems familiar, like Unreal Engineer would be pretty cool. That's pretty hard to find. We're doing fine, but like more people would be great.
I'll say this. Some of our art team started in, like sophomore year. That was Tart. I'm sorry, I'm calling Tart out right now. And I mean, like, you've seen the art she's produced.
Yep.
So, anything's possible. But yeah, I don't know, you guys. It's almost 5. We made this go on. Really, I'm proud of us. Go Fancy. Yeah. High five.
Okay. Thank you all so much for being here. We're going to call it a stream at this point. It's been great sharing the news with you, sharing the updates, seeing all of you still excited about this awesome project that we're working on together. And thank you all so much. We'll be doing another one of these soon. Stay tuned on our social media and Discord. We make big announcements when we plan on doing stuff like this, so it's hard to miss.
We freaking love you guys.
Yeah, we do.
Thanks, you guys. We'll see you at the next stream.
All right.